Hi, my name is Jinesh, and over the past 1 year, I have been trying to understand how do we enable free internet access for end users in developing countries using a participatory design approach. I've had the opportunity to live in two unique countries. I grew up in a developing country, India, and studied in an advanced European society, Estonia. When I moved to Tallinn from Mumbai, I could see the positive effects of internet on the Estonian society. I worked with AST.EE, which is one of the most advanced e-governance portals in the world, and studied various futuristic subjects like ubiquitous computing, inclusive design, and interaction design. In my course of HCI studies, I stumbled upon a troubling fact. 60% of the world is offline. This means 6 out of 10 people in the world have never used something as basic as Google. Almost everything we study, design, research, and create is simply for 4 out of 10 people in the world. This motivated me to further learn about the digital divide and research on ways to bridge this gap. As of 2013, 60% of the world is offline. Half of the offline population comes from just 5 countries within this red circle. India is home to the largest digital divide in the world. From a population of 1.3, 1 billion people have never accessed the internet. According to McKinsey, there could be many possible barriers that affect internet access. Some of the major ones in India include low literacy and lack of infrastructure. However, one of the biggest barriers to access is affordability. To put this simply, it means not having enough money to buy an internet connection. This could be because of low income levels, unfair internet pricing, telecom network oligopoly, or bad laws. In this study, we address the issue of affordability, a key factor that causes a digital divide in India and many developing countries with a similar context. To address the issue of affordability as a barrier to digital divide, the Government of India plans to start 250,000 free Wi-Fi zones at public places for its citizens. But this is how it usually works. The politician says, "Hey, give me your vote. People in your city will get free Wi-Fi." Now he gets elected and realizes the government lacks sufficient funds to sustain these free Wi-Fi zones. People get angry as they don't have affordable access. He then ties up with a big telecom company. Now the telecom company has the exclusive permission and rights to start free Wi-Fi zones all over the city. After starting free Wi-Fi zone, the company offers free Wi-Fi for just 10 to 15 minutes per day at very slow speeds. You cannot even stream a video on YouTube or call a friend on Skype. To get more than 15 minutes of free internet access per day at bearable speeds, users need to pay an extra fee, which defeats the purpose of addressing affordability. This brings us to our main research problem. How do we enable free internet access for end users in India without such restrictions? A wicked problem is a socio-technical problem that doesn't have a single solution. In fact, it has a series of solutions. The possible solution I was aiming for was to enable free internet access for end users in India via sustainable Wi-Fi zones that do not need government funding. Designing artifacts or services in a developing country like India often require the researcher to work in the real environment. Traditionally, we are used to designing in the laboratory and bringing in the users to test our products or services. And in the wild approach requires the designer to be in the actual context of the users and then commence the design process. This is the reason I went to Mumbai for a period of 6 months to conduct an in the wild study. Upon reaching Mumbai, I realized that enabling free Wi-Fi zones is way more complicated than it seems. I needed understanding of various disciplines such as business, law, wireless networking, broadband distribution, and digital advertising. It's impossible for a single designer to be an expert in all these fields. This is the reason I chose a participatory design approach and started reaching out to various stakeholders. Participatory design is an approach to design attempting to actively involve all stakeholders in the design process to help ensure the result meets the needs and is usable. My idea was to organize the participatory design community in a way that could solve three problems. What kind of internet service do users in India want at Wi Fi zones? How do we unify existing Wi Fi zones to match up to user goals? And how do we make free Wi Fi zones profitable and self sustainable without government funding? To find the answer systematically, I chose IDEO's HCD toolkit. With India's complicated context, it's not always possible to find the perfect solution. IDEO suggests that in such places we use an approach that is desirable by the users, feasible technically, and viable economically. For the participatory design community to move forward towards their final solution, we adopted the double diamond design process as recommended in IDEO's toolkit for problem solving. The traditional double diamond design process provides an open framework for researchers to solve complex socio-technical problems. Traditionally, the double diamond is broken into two stages: strategy and implement, and four phases: discovery of roadblocks, defining the roadblocks and ideating on possible strategies, developing a solution, and then prototyping it. Each of these phases have microprocesses involved, which was collectively solved by the participatory design community. After reaching out to various stakeholders, I organized the participatory design community into two groups: enablers and co-designers. The first group, the enablers, collectively identified legal, economical, and technical roadblocks that affect internet access at Wi Fi zones. They also provided us with ideas on possible solutions to overcome these roadblocks. We got a lot of ideas in the first stage from a range of participants. However, most of these groups never met and saw each other, and only saw what's on our online portal muftinternet.com. Over the course of research, our portal's popularity grew. Some of the experts were more enthusiastic than the others. These participants wanted to offer more time and help. One of the volunteers even offered his own design studio. So, in the second stage, I acted as a project coordinator and coordinated bi weekly meetings and co design sessions to develop and implement various possible ideas. So, here's a quick review. I first went to India and began my in the wild exploration to find out how free internet access can be enabled for end users via existing Wi Fi zones. I realized there were too many legal, economical, and technical roadblocks. I reached out to experts and organized the participatory design community into two groups: co designers and developers. We used IDEO's human centered toolkit to begin approaching our problem in four phases: discover, define, develop, and deliver. After creating a project space, we conduct an exploratory research, post which I started organizing all the ideas into possible strategies. Co-design sessions begin at the second stage with ideation, development, and implementation. During the study, we collected and organized information from a range of stakeholders. For this, I created the online portal called muftinternet.com. Muft means free in Hindi and Urdu, so in the literal sense, it means a free internet. First, I started writing open letters and posting it to various experts explaining them about the issue: politicians, digital advertising experts, hardware companies, and so on. Over 8,000 volunteers signed up to this portal within the past 6 months. After gathering and organizing the community, we used this for coordination amongst enablers and co designers. The portal also helped all enthusiasts to stay updated and contribute their idea towards the project. In the first stage, an exploratory research was conducted as a part of the discovery process with the help of ICTD researchers, business modeling experts, lawyers, investors, internet service providers, digital advertising experts, and other volunteers. By conducting a user research, we got an idea of what kind of internet do users want. By conducting a technical research, we understood various network architecture styles involved in enabling Wi Fi zones. By conducting a market research, we understood the cost involved to enable free internet access for users and how these costs could be effectively shifted to advertisers instead of end users. A legal research was done on understanding laws that affect internet access in India. Basically, in India, having an open network is practically illegal. It's almost it's not as simple as buying an internet connection and plugging it into a router and starting a free Wi-Fi zone. The government requires the Wi-Fi provider to maintain login data of all the users for a period of 1 year. This requires extra user authentication software, extra hardware, and maintenance services, thereby substantially driving up the cost of providing free Wi-Fi. After the discovery phase, we move to the define phase. Based on our exploratory work, we first define the common roadblocks for internet users and internet service providers. Users want free access without restrictions on time, speed, or data. For internet service providers to give them what they want, they need to increase revenue, reduce cost and legal risk, and enable more self-sufficient Wi-Fi zones without such restrictions. Later, we defined the possible strategies to overcome these roadblocks. The idea was to increase revenues by optimizing digital advertising and lowering cost by sharing wireless networks. After the strategy stage, we move on to the implementation stage, whereby we worked with interaction designers, network architects, usability testers, software engineers, web developers, internet service providers to systematically work across three stages: project ideation, development, and implementation. We collectively refer to all of these as the Muft Wi-Fi solution. Based on the user goals, we first designed the Muft Internet Plan. The Muft Internet Plan is a free-to-use internet plan with no restrictions on time, data, or speed. However, the free internet plan would be completely funded by advertisements. This is a similar approach to YouTube or Spotify, where you can stream videos for free but have to watch advertisements at repeated intervals. Users from any Muft Wi-Fi zone can connect through a singular login system. The prototype works like this. User connects to the Muft Wi-Fi ad network. He enters his mobile number, receives a one-time password, and gets 1 hour of free internet. Every time a user logs in, 6 digital advertisements are generated. The advertiser must buy ad credits from the Muft Wi-Fi ad network to place the advertisements here. These ad credits are then transferred to the owner of the free Wi-Fi zone or the Wi-Fi service provider. So basically, the user gets free access and the Wi-Fi service provider gets money from the advertiser. This means anyone can start a Wi-Fi zone business. You can just buy a Muft Wi-Fi router, plug it into an internet connection, and start a free Wi-Fi zone. Every time someone logs in, they will see an ad. The revenue generated from these ads will be transferred to your bank account. So different Wi-Fi zones in India run on different architecture. Irrespective of the network architecture, a few things remain the same. You need an internet connection, a router, an access point, a local server that manages user authentication, database management, network security, and overall network management. And of course, you need an internet enabled or a Wi-Fi enabled device to access this free Wi-Fi. So for instance, if you want to create 250 Wi-Fi 1000 zones in India, you need to buy 250,000 internet connections, 250,000 routers, and 250,000 servers. Our idea was to share all the network resources, so not just advertisements, but have the entire network management and user authentication under one server. The implications of this are huge, as this saves on from paying for 250,000 local servers. Instead, just having the access point redirect their IP towards the central Muft Wi-Fi central server. To create a high fidelity prototype, we use a combination of technologies. We use Revive for ad management. We use Ubiquity hardware. The network management solution we used was Unify Controller. We developed the user authentication from scratch and we also created a data maze management system by ourselves. Now that we had a functional prototype, we wanted to see if this was an actual sustainable solution. So we designed a business model to enable 250 Wi-Fi zones in Mumbai over a period of 5 years. However, among various costs, one of the key hypotheses made here is that each Wi-Fi zone should have at least 40 logins per day. With lesser logins, there would be far too little digital inventory to be generated to sustain these Wi-Fi zones. So we needed at least 40 logins per day, but not more than 100 as that would disturb the quality of services. To test this hypothesis, we started scouting for locations in Mumbai for a pilot study. This is a small eatery called Mumbai Masala in the south of Mumbai with about 150 to 200 footfalls per day. It's not a very busy area and is relatively hidden from the public spots. This is because we wanted a conservative approach. Uh, that's the owner of the cafe, and that's the network architect and one of the participants, Mr. Vipul Patel. That's one of the student volunteers and participants, Mr. Abhay Tribhuvan, who helped us put up these signs. After setting up our routers and setting up the pilot study, people on our deal with the owner was as such that people on the street as well as people inside could get free Wi-Fi. So it's okay if you don't buy something inside the restaurant, you could still get free Wi-Fi by standing outside on the street. The test began in the period of Test began for a period of 30 days in the month of March. In these 30 days, we clocked 1205 logins. That's slightly more than 40 logins per day. This confirmed our hypothesis and suggested that this alternate business model is desirable, feasible, and viable. So, our In the Wild study addresses the issue of affordability and low income levels, a key factor that causes a digital divide in many countries, as we use a participatory design approach to create a free internet access plan for end users in India that cannot afford mobile internet at existing rates. Achieved results of this study include successfully testing the feasibility and viability of a scalable and profitable business model that includes enabling 250 free Wi-Fi zones for users in Mumbai. This alternate model can be adopted by internet service providers to start providing free internet access to end users. So instead of approaching the customer and selling them the internet connection, using our model, service providers in India can first start selling the free Wi-Fi zone and monetize it as and when people use it. This model saves them on multiple resources like sales, marketing, customer acquisition, and so on. This by far reduces the cost of operation for internet service providers. We also feel that our research will help other researchers from developing countries to use the same flow to enable free internet access in their own countries. At present, we have 5 advertisers, 3 internet service providers, and 2 hardware companies on board. This will help us repeat the pilot study at different locations to further test and customize the business model for each internet service provider. We are working on further technical studies to see how different hardware could integrate with Muft Wi-Fi networks and how user experience can be evaluated at such Wi-Fi zones. All the technical codes of this business model are open source. The same concept will be tested by a fellow human computer interaction colleague of mine in Lahore, Pakistan. I understand that advertisements don't really make an internet free. However, Muft Wi-Fi can be used as an excellent transitory measure to enable free internet access for those who cannot afford it. I understand that as I conclude, I should mention that digital divide may seem like a tricky subject, but a systematic design approach has helped many researchers, designers, and technologists create wonderful solutions that bridge the gap. Thank you.